is a burden being the stats person in the group chat. Like today, everyone is sharing an article saying spider bites make people more athletic. Not on my watch. My friends are sweet innocents, but I know that finding could be for all kinds of reasons. Maybe people who are athletic are already more likely to go outdoors and encounter bitey arachnids. Or maybe a spider activist tweaked the data, or loads of other things. Did a spider write this study? The thing about statistics is that it helps us understand the world. It's how we know what we know. And once you understand how stats work, you can start to see trends in data everywhere. But you will also start seeing all of the ways that information can be misused. Call it your spidey stats sense. Because with stats, you gotta remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Hi, I'm Sabrina Cruz, and this is Study Hall, Real World Statistics. Statistical tools help us answer questions about important issues, like how book preferences vary across neighborhoods or how to get playgrounds funded. But they can also be super misleading, and in the wrong hands, they can make you believe lies. First, the research itself has to be done well. Researchers can't just make stuff up. Seems obvious, but you'd be surprised. Who wouldn't want to be credited with the next breakthrough finding, like finding out that radioactive spiders can make you better at climbing buildings? That would be epic. But that temptation could lead a researcher to fabricate results or falsify data. That leads to bad numbers, but there's also broader research misconduct that can make people distrust important processes. Like anyone could claim someone else's ideas, results, or words without giving appropriate credit. That's right. Good old plagiarism. Like if I took somebody else's spider study and said it was mine for the fame and glory. Various researchers qualify all of these as Category 1 misconduct, the most serious kind. That's because the consequences can be huge. If we fudge data, we can waste a lot of resources while lying to the public, who might also interpret or use that bad information in all kinds of ways. Like sure, we all want to decompress from all that number crunching. And hey, if you're already researching spiders in the Amazon, how bad would it be to just slip in a little vacation? But that little trip to drink caipirinhas in Rio doesn't really count as a research expense. In fact, it would be a misuse of resources. Then there are Category 2 violations, and while they're less severe, they're also not good. Like adding someone with name recognition to the author list of a research paper when they haven't contributed significantly to the work. That's called honorary authorship or guest authorship, and it could sway the review process. Sure, it would be awesome if Zendaya was on my spider research team. People would pay attention to my incredible arachnid discoveries. But it's a bit sneaky and not super ethical. Still, researchers face a lot of pressure, which can encourage publishing the same data or findings in multiple publications, or to break up research into smaller parts for publication to increase a person's publication count. This duplicate publication and piecemeal publishing makes it hard to keep track of a line of research, and can make it seem like more progress has been made than there actually was. Then there's poor record keeping. Sloppy or incomplete records of all the procedures we went through and the findings we made can also be a violation. Like a misleading graph or headline, they erode trust and can slowly dilute the power of science. There's also pressure when people are reporting on research findings. Journalists want to maximize the number of people reading their articles. That can tempt reporters to ignore less flashy studies and disproportionately report on findings that sound extra shocking, even if the science is a little shaky. Or they might make a finding sound cooler by exaggerating the findings. Clickbait, anyone? Now, this isn't all black and white. It's a gray world, people. Stats can be really complicated, and they aren't always easy to translate for a big audience. And you shouldn't need years of research experience to understand a study's findings. So a lot of news articles and other summaries are just trying to tell you what you need to know, even if they skimp on some details. But the thing to remember is that any summarizing still needs to remain faithful to facts. We can't just gloss over details or spice things up to help us get more people to read our work. The spider study going around my group chat is a good example of this. The headline is splashy, but when I look closely at the actual study findings, it's clear this is more of a causal situation than an actual incentive for spider bites. Again, people spending more time outdoors probably tend to be more athletic to begin with, and also ideal spider snacks. But pair that with a slow news day and bam, group chats all over the nation are besieged by senseless motivation to become food for an 8-legged army. Now, you probably see ethical violations like these around you every day, shaping the world as you know it. And sometimes you can be part of the problem. Like, stick with me here. Let's say you're you're a city planner, and right now it's on you to decide how to allocate land recently obtained by the city. It's one of those great power, great responsibility moments, and it's your time to shine. You're in charge of deciding whether the space should be used to increase parking access to local businesses or used to build a public park. You're going to channel your inner Leslie Knope and see what the public actually wants. So you design a survey for people to make their preferences clear and create a cute little QR code for it that you can print on flyers to pass around town. You collect all the information and share it with your boss, and that's when you realize that there are some problems. Let's start with where you left the flyers. A lot of them went under windshield wipers in car lots, targeting the people who are probably gonna appreciate a parking space. All's not lost, you also passed out flyers at the grocery store, library, and schools, helping you collect data from people who live in the area. But you're now realizing you've left out the commuters who come into work. A lot of them use public transportation, so they're not getting the windshield wiper flyers either, which means now you haven't accounted for whether those tired souls might appreciate a nice patch of green space during their lunch break. All in all, you had really good intentions, but now you've spread around data that doesn't really tell you accurately what most people want, which is exactly what you actually need to know. But there's a lot you can do when you're out there making sure your great powers don't deprive people of parks or result in mass group chat upheaval. Doing science is basically doing statistics, and it requires a lot of steps and a lot of people, with a lot of opportunities for things to go super wrong. Now, the good news is there are a lot of safeguards in place. Most workplaces operate with some kind of ethical guidelines, which includes anything involving bad stats. Like if you were a doctor working in a US hospital, you would be following the American Medical Association's Code of Medical Ethics. Or if you were a journalist in a newsroom, you'd be following something like the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics. And in any of those cases, you'd be in big trouble if you tampered with or misrepresented data. The reason all these safeguards are in place is because really bad things can happen as a result of research, even if it's done with good intentions. Like the body mass index used to be the end-all be-all in obesity diagnosis, but it has major limitations. For one thing, the index is based on data that doesn't accurately reflect samples across diverse demographics. It also doesn't account for plenty of the other things about bodies, like muscle mass. But that doesn't stop it from being used to shame and harm people every day. IQ, or intelligence quotient, is another metric that has been used for evil ends, including being connected to the eugenics movement that so many of our statistics forefathers loved so much. But IQ doesn't measure emotional or social intelligence, and it's also a really poor indicator of how smart you actually are. And don't get me started about political polling. Not all polls are created equal. Some are way more representative of the voting public than others, and interpreting them as if they all carry the same weight can be dangerous. Forget about becoming an Olympian after a spider bite. Things can go really south if I have to defend democracy in the group chat. Now, when statistics gets distorted in cases like these, it really changes what we think we know. But there are still ways to protect yourself. To make sure you're not the group chat culprit doing free labor on behalf of Big Spider, you should stay vigilant. When you're looking at a study or poll, keep an eye out for the fine print about how the individuals or respondents were chosen. If it wasn't a random process, it's more likely that bias is creeping in. This is especially true if there's a small sample. There can be a lot more variation across small samples than across large ones, so this one result might not be repeatable. Then there are causal claims. Just because two things occur at the same time doesn't mean that one causes the other. Spider bite study. In fact, it's really hard to prove causality in general, so your skeptical spectacles should be on every time you hear that word causes. I'm looking at you, journalists. But that's not all. Sometimes studies make claims like saying happiness and tuna casserole consumption are positively correlated. Now, that's so far so good, no causal language there, and you know a tuna casserole hates to see me coming. However, there's no objective way to measure happiness, and in this case, let's say the research team measured happiness through self-reported energy levels, which is an attack on couch potatoes. In fact, I am happiest on the couch. And how do I even decide how energetic I feel anyway? Basically, the way we measure really matters, and the more you know what to look for, the more likely you are to avoid bad tuna casserole studies or unnecessary spider bites. Using data to understand the world around us can be, well, complicated. Stats gives us the tools to answer all kinds of questions, and in doing so, it explains pretty much everything that we know about trends and patterns. But making sure that we understand that information and can trust it is also part of the process. There's a lot of power in being able to make sense of the numbers in front of you, and once you do, there's also a lot of responsibility to help the people around you also make sense of that data and avoid mistakes and misunderstandings. Because the beauty of statistics is that it holds the answers we're looking for. But in order to know anything, we need to trust it. If you're enjoying this series and are interested in taking the full study hall real-world statistics course and earning college credit from ASU, check out gostudyhall.com or click on the button to learn more. And if you want to help us out, give this video a like, smash that subscribe button, and comment your favorite spider. Thanks for watching, and see you when I see you.